In LA this week,
Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti talking about possible additional funding sources for upcoming metro projects. You've heard of Measure R? How does Measure R2D2 sound to you? I'm Gil Reyes with details next.
I'm Anna Marcos. These future affordable housing units will provide new hope for low-income residents in this Korean community near downtown LA. That's coming up.
I'm Rasha Goel. Up next, an empowering message that blends basketball with the ABCs of bullying prevention.
hello and welcome to LA This Week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Yana Kay. Well, the gas leak at the SoCal Gas Aliso Canyon storage facility near Porter Ranch has been officially capped and sealed. Regulators have given thousands of residents who moved away the green light to return home. Rasha Goel has more.
4 months after it began, the gas leak in the country's fifth largest natural gas storage field in Porter Ranch has been sealed for good, state officials announced. Crews were able to stop the leaking by pumping heavy fluids into the leak, followed by cement injections. State regulators have completed integrity tests, and air quality officials have confirmed that the flow of gas has stopped. Health officials said they believe it's now safe for residents to move back home. But the leak has exposed bigger issues facing the utility. U.S. Energy Secretary Ernest Moniz, who recently toured the site with local, state, and federal officials, said changes are needed in energy storage and infrastructure.
Frankly, gas storage fields need a fresh look in terms of some of the regulatory requirements. That was clearly brought home here. That's being done.
Officials agree the aging infrastructure is a priority that needs to be addressed now. U.S. Representative Brad Sherman, who is a Porter Ranch resident, said it's clear who should bear the costs.
And the higher insurance costs that I'm sure SoCal Gas will be paying in the future should be the responsibility of shareholders.
The Aliso Canyon gas leak, which was reported in October, prompted the temporary relocation of thousands of Porter Ranch residents and surrounding communities. But now that the residents will be returning, LA Mayor Eric Garcetti and Congressman Sherman said they need to know what they're dealing with.
So we talked about the idea of coordinating, whether it's a task force or a technical group that would help bring the studies of what's been released, have an understanding of what the health effects on the short and long term are, and give that information to the people.
Many residents would like to see, and I join them in this, an infrared camera on every well that's in Aliso Canyon, together with a gauge that measures mercaptan and methane that's on the web, available 24/7, so that we can feel safe as we live in our homes.
Meanwhile, the city's Los Angeles Emergency Management Department is leading recovery efforts for the Porter Ranch community. EMD has opened a local assistance center in the community to provide a centralized location where residents and businesses can access programs and services to help them return home and to their normal routines. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Los Angeles 311 City Services, the LAPD, and Los Angeles Department of Economic and Workforce Development are among the several departments that are providing services at the Assistance Center. Would you pay more taxes to improve public transit? Well, you'll have your chance to decide soon. But in the meantime, LA's mayor says upgrades down the track are well worth the investment. Gil Reyes has more from downtown. Gil.
Yes, Yana, this will give our viewers a little bit of time to think about it. But yes, indeed, Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti throwing his full support behind the proposed half-cent sales tax increase to further fund transportation projects such as this one. Voters could decide in November.
If we can get an additional half-cent passed in November and extend the earlier one, we're talking about potentially $120 billion of work in the next 50 years.
Mayor and Metro Board member Eric Garcetti pitching the idea to business leaders gathered at this transportation forum at downtown Marriott. You heard him right, a possible $120 billion in transportation upgrades if LA voters agree to raising their own taxes again. Passage would require a 2/3 vote.
First time transportation bond went before the voters, or tax went before the voters, they did pass by 67%. Second time, it just missed at 66%. So it's right there on the edge. But I think what's different now is a lot of the areas that have opposed it in the past now have projects that they can look to.
Another half-cent sales tax increase could add more track to existing metro lines. Suggestions include extending the Purple Line all the way to Santa Monica, stretching the Red Line to Burbank Airport, and creating a train line from Sepulveda Boulevard in the San Fernando Valley to LAX. But will voters approve of yet another transportation tax? The last one, Measure R, passed in 2008, but since then, interest in metro ridership has dropped, according to the LA Times. Still, Mayor Garcetti says investments in public transit will reduce LA's infamous traffic and more.
More options for some people to get out of their cars means we all flow more quickly. So this is jobs, and this is a long-term commitment.
An investment for future generations. For LA This Week, I'm Gil Reyes.
The tax proposal could fund Metro projects through the year 2057. And Metro isn't only looking to improve public transit, but it's also hoping to do so with the environment in mind. Anna Marcos takes us inside the new operations facility downtown.
LA has made a name for itself with its green and earth-friendly buses. Now its bus maintenance operations have also gone green, with the grand opening of Metro's operations and maintenance facility.
We're on to something. We're on to something good. We're on to something green. We're on to something sustainable.
It's our first new ground-up bus operations and maintenance facility built by Metro since 1984. Think back to 1984. That's when we had the Olympics here last, when the first Mac came out from Apple, so it's been a while.
But the facility has made up for lost time. Everything here is cutting edge. The newer, safer apparatus, the skylights and solar panels, a water recycling program and cistern that collects rainwater, and a rooftop garden that reduces the urban heat island effect.
And the rooftop garden is available to employees. It'll help reduce the cooling load on the building, which again saves us operating dollars.
Right across the way is our county jail. We are going to be recycling the water from the county jail here. And that's hundreds of thousands of gallons of water that will be recycled and used.
The blue apparatus is a lift designed to raise maintenance personnel to the height of the roof of the buses so they can do repairs. This eliminates the need for a ladder.
Almost half the money for the $120 million project came from the federal government.
And across the country, more Americans today are traveling by bus than any other form of transit, and that is why continued investments in facilities like Division 13 are so critical.
The building's solar panels will provide 10% of all its power needs, and that puts LA transportation system on the road to a more sustainable future. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The facility can accommodate more than 200 buses needing repair and maintenance. Though jobs and the economy are in an upswing, you wouldn't know it in parts of South LA. But as Gil Reyes reports, help has arrived in pockets where unemployment is the worst.
New hope for job seekers in Southeast Los Angeles and surrounding areas.
Allow us to help you help yourselves and get back in the workforce.
The second of two WorkSource portals opens on Slauson Avenue and Crocker Street, where the old Weber bread factory used to be. This portal has free computer access for job searching, also full-time staff to help you build resumes, practice interviews, and more.
A one-stop shop where folks can get help for housing, healthcare, childcare, and employment. See, the old days where we used to say, I'm sorry, if you have 5 problems, here's 5 addresses. We hope those are over.
Mayor Eric Garcetti and company explain the difference between traditional WorkSource centers and WorkSource portals like this one. Portals have more resources for job seekers and are placed in areas where unemployment is the worst.
The 9th District, I have to acknowledge, has the highest rate of poverty and unemployment in our city. That's why this resource here is so important.
Portals also partner with nonprofits like Hopix to help provide second chances for the formerly incarcerated. They also focus on career training in high-demand industries.
Today, we focus on information technology, hospitality and tourism, healthcare, construction utilities and green energy, financial services.
To help you find not just a job, but a career. In Southeast LA, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
The city's other WorkSource portal is located on South Vermont Avenue in South LA. Mayor Garcetti says the city is investing nearly $2.5 million in new job training programs benefiting the homeless, foster youth, and transgenders. Well, LAX is jumping into the 21st century with a multi-billion-dollar overhaul that could change transportation and air travel as we know it in LA. Hundreds came out to hear about the Landside Access Modernization Plan from city leaders and to find out how they can take part. Anna Marcos takes us there.
The plan is to turn LAX into a jewel of global first-class travel. City leaders unveiled the $8.5 billion Landside Access Modernization Program to a full house.
Our goal is to fix the traffic gridlock coming in and out of the airport, to connect to public transportation, and to do it in a sustainable and responsible way.
I imagine at some point, everybody in this crowd has gone through Los Angeles International Airport and bemoaned its condition and has wondered why we can't do better.
Well, city leaders and airport commissioners are now doing better. Among the highlights of the plan, a consolidated center for all rental cars, 2 intermodal transportation facilities, an automated people mover that will move passengers through the entire airport and to and from the transportation facilities, and finally, a metro rail connection to the airport.
This project is not only important, but it will be transformative, not just for the airport, not just for people who use the airport, but for the city of Los Angeles.
The design and bidding process will be different from the status quo as well. 900 people came to hear the announcement. Executives, contractors, suppliers, and vendors, all looking for a piece of the pie when this mega construction project starts. And city leaders asked them to come up with their own ideas, and if picked, to design, create, finance, and maintain the projects, instead of them bidding on a project the city came up with.
We want Los Angeles to be known as a hotbed of innovation. All we ask of you is to be bold, is to think outside the proverbial box. Bring us something better, bring us something faster, bring us something more inventive, something more environmentally sensitive.
The first phase of the project, the People Mover and the Consolidated Car Rental Center, is expected to be ready by 2023. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
For more information, visit connectinglax.com. While Los Angeles may have seen some recent rain, the water shortage is still on the city's priority list. Rasha Goel has more on the latest technology tool that officials hope will help with water consumption.
This gadget, called a smart water meter, is the latest tool that officials say will help monitor water consumption throughout the city.
The idea behind these smart meters is simple. By monitoring water use in real time, we will be able to help our parks cut water consumption over time.
It gives us eyes on the park's water consumption 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. That way we can watch when there's a break, and they happen all the time. When there's a leak, we can immediately detect it and fix it and save millions of gallons of water.
The pilot program will bring 100 of these smart water meters to Echo Park and 27 other parks throughout the city.
The way they work is once they're attached, these smart meters use cell towers or cell network to transmit data to a website where both the Department of Water and Power and Rec and Parks can monitor water usage.
We really have to look at our water supplies and really what we need to do to be sustainable as a city.
The launch of the pilot program comes as the city considers a citywide water rate increase proposed by the LADWP. The increase will help Los Angeles invest in critically needed water infrastructure, develop more local water supplies, and expand water conservation efforts. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
The Recreation and Parks Department reported a 26% reduction in water use last year, which is enough water to serve 8,000 LA households for a year. Well, LA's working poor are about to get a boost when it comes to affordable housing as city leaders break ground on the Meridian apartment project. Anna Marcos takes us to the groundbreaking.
There's 100 reasons to cheer as city leaders break ground on the future Meridian Apartments, a complex of 100 affordable units for low-income residents. The studio 1-, 2-, and 3-bedroom apartments will come with a computer lab, courtrooms, parking, and many social services.
With the homeless count increasing every day, and I think if you just go around the corner, you'll see all the tents that are there. That really affordable housing is something that is so critical.
So what would rents go for here? Well, as an example, a 2-bedroom apartment could go for as low as $560 a month for those with the lowest qualifying income, about $17,000 a year, while a studio apartment could go for as low as $435.
It's a working community. It's really workforce housing that we're providing here.
The housing project will be earth-friendly too, with a LEED Gold rating, and it will be near the Vermont Beverly Metro Red Line station, bringing another transit-centered community to LA. Still, with the need for affordable units rising, this is just a drop in the bucket.
Everyone assembled under this tent knew years ago that we had a housing crunch then, and we had a lack of affordable housing then. Now we're in crises mode.
We're producing 100 units here, which is fantastic. The Regional Housing Needs Assessment indicated over an 8-year period we needed to produce approximately 33,000 units citywide.
Organizers will start taking applications for the apartments in about a year. The project could be completed as early as September of 2017. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Residents, by the way, will also get a free 1-year Metro Transit Pass. Well, paid parental leave for city employees may soon become a reality. Olympic athletes hit the streets of LA, and a busy Hollywood crosswalk gets lit up. All these stories in City Beat. The Los Angeles City Council voted to explore the idea of offering city workers who are new parents 4 weeks of paid time off to allow them to bond with their children. Councilmember Paul Krikorian said that in order to be competitive with the private sector, the city needs to make sure it provides this benefit to allow young families to be able to come to work and still know they won't be neglecting their obligations to their children. Officials will analyze the economic and other implications this benefit will have on the city. City employees currently have 4 months of unpaid leave to bond with their children. In order to get paid during that time, some employees use a mixture of accrued paid vacation and sick leave hours, according to city officials. Los Angeles recently hosted the women's and men's 2016 U.S. Olympic Team Marathon Trials. 3 men and 3 women were selected as the first batch of track and field athletes to qualify for the 2016 U.S. Olympic team that will compete this summer in Brazil. Meanwhile, officials hope the trials will demonstrate that Los Angeles has what it takes to host the 2024 Olympics.
We have the strongest package, I think, in the world. Not only for a city that has followed the sun and continues to chase the dreams and innovation that defined who we are, but a town that probably is home to more Olympic athletes than any place on the face of the earth.
Los Angeles City Council member Mitch O'Farrell, David Rue, and the Los Angeles Department of Transportation dedicated a newly installed traffic signal along Hollywood Boulevard and Lyman Place, which intersects Council Districts 4 and 13.
Because, pedestrian safety, public safety, doesn't know boundaries.
The flashing yellow light will serve as an enhancement to the crosswalk already in place. The installation was part of the $6 million that the Los Angeles City Council allocated for traffic signal improvement projects in fiscal year 2014 and 15. The heavily used pedestrian crossing is the only one on the entire stretch of Hollywood from Hillhurst to Vermont. And even though it will help provide a safer crossing for those who visit and work in the commercial corridor, O'Farrell says pedestrians still need to be careful even when the lights are flashing.
We still have to watch out because there are distracted drivers now more than ever. Just because they have a flashing light doesn't mean they're even going to see it. So I want to make sure that no one has a false sense of security that cars won't still drive recklessly.
A community outreach program blends basketball skills with an empowering message for young students. Rasha Goel has more.
That was the message these young students from Para Los Niños Charter Elementary School received from some of the Harlem Globetrotters. First Puerto Rican Harlem Globetrotter El Gato Melendez, Bucket Blake, who holds a Guinness World Record for most basketball underhand half-court shots in 1 minute, and expert dunker Hacksaw Hall came out to teach kids about the ABCs of bullying prevention.
The A in the ABCs of bullying prevention stands for action. Everybody say action! Action!
Bucket Blake, who was bullied himself as a kid, shared some tips on how he was able to beat the bullies at their own game.
I kept smiling. The bullies were calling me names and telling jokes about me. Actually, some of the jokes were funny, so I started laughing at myself. And they didn't like the fact that they couldn't make me sad. But when they started to walk up on me, I'd walk away and lead them right to the nearest teacher.
This presentation was part of the Globetrotters' 90th anniversary.
Reach to the kids is our main goal, to talk about ABCs of bullying prevention, bring out a good, positive message for them to use, not just in school, but also outside of school in the community and also at home.
Officials tell me they have a very familial atmosphere here, and the parents are very well connected with the staff and students. And when it comes to bullying prevention, well, they try to troubleshoot the problem before it even starts.
I think oftentimes it's more about educating the parents about what bullying is. I think oftentimes we see more the word being misused. So really about educating the parents, educating the children, and what they can do to prevent bullying.
And for today, the Globetrotters hope that with their unique spin, stopping bullying for these kids will be a slam dunk. In downtown Los Angeles, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
The Harlem Globetrotters continue their tour through the summer with shows in Europe and Canada. Well, the traffic's so bad, you want to get out of your car and walk sometimes. And Westside residents have had enough. As Gil Reyes reports, they're offering suggestions to end the gridlock on Sunset Boulevard in Brentwood.
It's not as bad on weekends, but on weekdays, get ready to scream. Traffic on Sunset Boulevard near the 405 freeway in Brentwood.
It's a soul-sucking experience for folks who live here. It can take folks over an hour to go a mile. And what we're looking for is a bunch of small solutions that together can add up to some relief.
Westside Councilman Mike Bonin hosted this community gathering that drew some 200 Brentwood area residents. Among their tips to alleviate congestion, changing the timing on traffic signals, limiting turns, and activating tolls during peak hours. This is for a stretch of Sunset between Kenter Avenue and the 405. And here's one more suggestion, adding more housing on the west side.
As long as people work on the west side and don't live on the west side because there's not enough housing for the workers, I think you've got a traffic problem. There's just, we see in Brentwood, people drive through in the morning to get through to Santa Monica, and because that's where a lot of the office space has been built, and they drive out at night.
Area homeowners also say planned construction at nearby Archer School for Girls next year will only worsen things.
I grew up in LA, born and raised in LA. We love our cars, but it's gotten to a point where we can't all fit in the same limited space to get our cars through at the same time, so we need to find alternatives. So it's biking opportunity, taking a bike down to the new train station and getting someplace, or taking a bus.
Councilman Bonin says his office is putting together a progress report based on every suggestion and will report back to residents soon on possible implementation. For LA This Week, I'm Gil Reyes.
That stretch of Sunset winds through UCLA, the Getty Center, and other upscale neighborhoods. Well, Boyle Heights is becoming more pedestrian-friendly thanks to a series of new traffic safety upgrades. Anita Bennett has the story.
These Boyle Heights residents have a reason to cheer. A newly installed traffic light at the corner of 4th and Pecan.
This is a project that came about because of some students who asked for more safety crossing the street here. Came about because of a study and some advocacy from neighborhood organizations.
The traffic light is part of a series of upgrades to improve safety during the 6th Street Bridge construction project.
This is part of 11 improvements that are being invested as a front end of the 6th Street Viaduct. So 2 new signals, 11 new left turn improvements.
Residents say cars often speed through the area as they enter the 101 freeway, but the new traffic light is meant to get drivers to slow down and yield to pedestrians. I'm Anita Bennett for LA This Week.
The improvements are being funded through state grants. Well, check out the latest trends in boating as the LA Boat Show sails into LA. Get fired up for some hockey action on the ice and commemorating the 50th anniversary of the Watts Rebellion. That's all in this week's Things to Do. Celebrating 60 years as the best place to see and buy boats, the LA Boat Show is coming to the Los Angeles Convention Center. This event features hands-on training workshops, marine electronics and electronics pavilion, an interactive learning center, a new float-in theater, boating skills, virtual trainer, and a kids zone. Whether you're an expert boater or just curious, the LA Boat Show has something for everyone. The LA Convention Center Boat Show opens February 25th and runs through the 28th. It's on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. and on Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. For more information, visit losangelesboatshow.com.
What a save by Omar!
The Los Angeles Kings are back on the ice for the 2016 NHL season, attempting to keep the every other year championship pattern going. After losing 2-1 to the Buffalo Sabres last year, they're yearning for another go. Check out this fast-paced action on the ice, root for your favorite players, and get fired up for another season of hard-hitting hockey. The LA Kings will face off the Buffalo Sabres at the Los Angeles Staples Center on February 27th. For more information, visit kings.nhl.com.
Los Angeles, California, the district called Watts. 34 persons die, $40 million worth of property is destroyed, almost 4,000 are arrested.
The Los Angeles Department of Cultural Affairs Watts Towers Art Center campus, together with the Clayton Library and Museum, is delighted to present 50 Years and I Still Can't Breathe, remembering the 50th anniversary of the 1965 Watts Rebellion and now. On view at the Watts Towers Art Center campus in the Noah Purifoy Gallery through February 28th. This one-of-a-kind exhibit presents one of the most compelling collections of socially conscious art in California in many years. Curated by Watts Towers Art Center campus director Rosie Lee Hooks and artist Michael Massenberg, the show addresses highly topical themes of legal and police injustice against minority communities from the Watts Rebellion to the present. The gallery is open Wednesday through Saturday from 10 to 4 p.m. and Sunday from 12 to 4. For more information, visit wattstowers.org. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kane from all of us here at LA This Week. Thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.